And welcome back to Pokemon Team Creation Series. We are the day before Halloween, folks, and that means we should do a Halloween-themed one. Actually, that's not what it means. I wasn't intending to, but someone gave me one that would be fitting for Halloween. I'm like, why not just swap the two? Because it would make more sense to do this the day prior to Halloween. So Matt Bell asks, what is Michael Myers' Pokemon team? And it makes sense. I've already done Jason. At some point down the line, I'll probably do Freddy. But it would make sense to do one of the iconic slashers. Michael Myers actually turned out to be very difficult because when you really break it down, what does he bring to the table? He's known as the Boogeyman. He's stealthy, sure, okay. There's the whole Cult of Thorn stuff, but man, that was I could not do. I found something to kind of go with that concept, but it's a bit of a stretch. He wears his white mask. He usually airs a knife, although he can use just about anything. He's very hard to kill. Look, Michael Myers is actually not a very elaborate character in many ways. At least not a character that lends itself well to creating a fictional Pokemon team for. I did the best I could, so please be kind, and let's just get into it. So, starting things off at the plot, he's known as the Boogeyman. That's the thing. That's the biggest thing Michael Myers is known for, is that he is the Boogeyman. That's his moniker. Freddy's the Sandman. Jason doesn't really have any moniker. He's just a killer of Camp Crystal Lake. But Michael Myers is the Boogeyman. So I knew a ghost Pokemon probably had to be on the team. At least one. To represent the concept of the Boogeyman. That he can just come and go. That he's hiding in the shadows. And what better than a Pokemon that hides in the shadows than Gengar? This is kind of a de facto Boogeyman type Pokemon. Now we should keep in mind that he's not truly a Boogeyman as far as we know in the sense of a supernatural creature that hides under the bed, hides in the no. But because he just kind of, like, it fades in and out, just comes and goes and just appears and kills, in that sense, he's the Boogeyman. Gengar would fit very well with the whole melting in shadows, the darkness in him. Keep in mind, in terms of a Pokemon that represents his personality, what little there is no pure, even like Malamar while considered an evil Pokemon, is not like just pure, unadulterated evil. There is no true, unadulterated evil Pokemon out there. Except for maybe Necrozma, and even then, Necrozma is just a being out of its own dimension, so it's more kind of just reacting on some instinct, although it was said to eat all the light in its own universe, so take that for what you got, or what it's worth. But there is no true evil Pokemon, whereas Michael Myers is described as a legitimate, true evil individual, pure psychotic. Pure psychopath, I should say. Completely devoid of any emotion and just literally, besides base instincts to eat and sleep and shit, just kill. That's all he wants. That's all he does. So Gengar, but anyway, back to the point. Gengar represented the Boogeyman. I also needed something to represent the fact that he's very capable with a weapon, usually carrying around a butcher's knife. And that would go to Honedge. It's a ghost type, goes towards more the evil aspect of him, and it is a blade. It's the only blade Pokemon I really have. Although Bisharp could have worked in a pinch here, because that is literally a mon almost made of blades. But yeah, Yamask I thought was, or Yamask. Why did I say Yamask? I know why I said Yamask. Honedge is the one I felt represented that. Speaking of which, spoilers, Yamask. Now this one, bear with me, but I did want to figure out a way to represent the iconic Michael Myers mask. Unlike with Jason, where Jason wears the mask just because he likes it. And it covers his messed up face, but he generally wears it just out of the sense of, I enjoy wearing this. Michael actually wears this specifically as like his identity. The hockey mask really isn't Jason's identity, because he wore other things before that. He wore a burlap sack over his head prior to wearing the hockey mask. And he has gotten other masks before, occasionally, like in Jason X, where he lost his hockey mask and a new mask was made on him after the whole nanite thing. So yeah, if you ever wondered why he didn't do a mask for Jason, that's why. But Yamask actually makes a little bit more sense, because Yamasks are humans that died and became Yamask, and their original face is that mask. The mask is a representation of them when they were humans. And so, while it's never really stated straight out that there's any humanity left in Michael Myers, and most incarnations that does seem to get, like, there's just no good left in this man. Like, any flicker of humanity's gone. There have been rare instances in the series. Which one was it? Was it Halloween 5 or 6? Where his niece was able to briefly get through to him, have him take his mask off, and there was like a tear, like she had like one single tear. Like, the impression is because that's when the Cult of Thorn stuff kicked in. The impression was he was being made to do these things from a very early age. He was bombarded with hallucinations and visions and dreams, and it drove him basically to become what he was. And part of him did not want to do it. So I like that concept of that last, like, little, on a giant sheet of pitch black paper, that one little white speck in there is the mask. But also, it's his mask. I mean, it's not a one-to-one by any stretch of the means, but it does have the oddest resemblance to some degree of William Shatner, because that's a William Shatner mask. So yeah. After that, though, that's where things got really difficult, because after that, it's like, okay, stealthy. Well, you can't really do much else. I already got Gengar for that. What else can I get? Something evil. Well, there's not. I mean, some dark type, sure. And I did add, and they are on here for dark type, but I mean, like, evil, not really. I'm like, I had to think. I'm like, okay, let's think about this more from what else we know about the character. Okay, there's the physical aspect of the character. He's a very powerful individual. He's somehow he is at least in the, let's call it the original 6 movies minus the third. He is supernaturally enhanced for strength, but in other versions where he's not supernatural, he just seems to be biologically different than others, just a lot stronger. And so something that's physically powerful would make sense. And I ultimately went with 2. I went with Grimmsnarl, a dark fairy type, which is just very scary, intimidating, and powerful, like Michael Myers. And then I went with another mon that is also very, very physically powerful, Tyranitar. Tyranitar doubles, though, for the fact that Tyranitar is extremely difficult to injure, and as is Michael Myers. Michael can just keep taking damage and keep going. Although he does seem to have limitations. While he, in theory, survived the explosion, again, I get the impression he wasn't at the epicenter of the explosion. He was able to avoid some of it. He was out in a coma for about a year. It took him a long time to kind of recover from that. So, still, in terms of the fact that he can take a lot of hits and just keep going, and the fact that it's a dark type, opted for Tyranitar. Now, I mentioned the Cult of Thorn. There is no real Pokemon that has been augmented by a group of people to enhance its original form, save for Genesect, and Genesect does not mesh with a Michael Myers. It's like, hey, Genesect, this, robotic insect monster that has a giant cannon on its back. Yeah, sure, that makes sense. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, what is there anything that can represent a Cult of Thorn? Specifically, maybe within these typings, the Ghost, Dark, which seem to lend themselves very much to Michael Myers. And I ultimately came down to, well, what if we went with more something that was a man-made Pokemon, in Golurk, which I accidentally showed a little too earlier, but Golurk, who is a man-made Pokemon. It's a ghost grounded, but it is a man-made Pokemon. And I thought about that more. I'm like, that does kind of work. Because it was made by ancient people, arguably a cult could have, and it's possessed by a spirit, which ultimately became a Pokemon. As is Michael Myers, is some instances say he's possessed by a demon, but I don't buy that one. As is Michael Myers, though, who started out as basically just normal and then was molded into something he ultimately became, Golurk. Add on the fact, too, that this is another brick shithouse power Pokemon. Hold on. What are Golurk's stats? Now I have to think about that. I rarely ever look at the stats, but Golurk, what stats you got on you, Golurk? Let's powwow there, Golurk. We are Golurking. We're gonna go lurking for trouble. Let's see here. Where are you? I keep forgetting what number he is. Oh, Golurk, there he is. Okay, so Golurk, what is the stat line of this guy? Base stat total for a Golurk is 483. And majority of that goes straight into that 124 attack. So yeah, Golurks and the 80 defense isn't god awful with 89 HP. Its special attack and speed are crap, 55. But special defense is 80. No, but Golurks are there to just hit and hit hard. And that's kind of like Michael Myers. So, is this a balanced team? Hell no, this is not a balanced team. I mean, you have four different ghost types. 3 of them are admittedly dual type. You got two dark types. One is a rock. One is times 4 weak to fighting, times 2 weak to fairy, times 2 weak to grass and water. Then you got Grimmsnarl, who is at least not times 4 weak to anything, but still not sitting a good. Honedge has got 3 immunities, but it's such a weak Pokemon compared to its other evolutions. And then you got freaking Gengar, who's an OG, sure, but still it's not a balanced team. You got a team here that's admittedly that is mostly immune, luckily, to or resistant to fighting types at least, but is not overly immune to dark. Is not overly immune to other ghosts. Hell, there's only 2 dark types, and I mean they're great to ghosts, but not by a large margin. It has no resistance to fairy at all, except for the steel on Honedge. And Gengar's got poison too. But then you got only 2 immunities to psychic. A couple of these guys are going to get wrecked by water types, grass types. So it's not a very balanced team. But then again, Michael Myers is not a very balanced individual. So take that for what it's worth. Until then, though, that is, in my humble opinion, the Pokemon team for Michael J. Myers. I don't know. I don't think J is his actual middle name. Until then, though, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And I'll see you folks for the next one. Have a good one.